Right, I'm here in Rotherham Town Centre today on a rather dull and damp Saturday morning for what may or may not be a gay pride protest. I was here back in 2019 with the intention of filming what was supposed to be a parade but what ended up being a rather empty town centre. Now I did hear that the parade did actually go ahead, but obviously didn't happen while I was there, so I think I'd been misled by a dodgy poster in the coffee shop. Now I don't know who organises these things these days, but I used to know some of the organisers some years back, and it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest for them to get the day or time wrong on the adverts. Nonetheless, the resultant YouTube video was quite popular. I've no idea what happened last year. I hear most gay pride events around the country and possibly even around the world got cancelled last year due to the so-called pandemic. I decided I'd come and film the protest this year, but to the best of my knowledge it's been cancelled this year as well. It's perhaps not too surprising given that the government cancelled the so-called Freedom Day the other week and delayed it until next week. Anyway, it's funny how everyone else can go out and protest, but gays need to keep themselves locked up at home.
Who streets? Our streets! Who streets? Our streets! Who streets? Our streets!
Builders will take the box and they'll build the house out of it. And then once you're done, come away and give some space and make sure you're joining in with the chat.
I don't think it was academic nonsense. Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! A-C-A-B!
You don't need to be over-distanced, ever.
Now you could argue that gay pride protests aren't really needed anymore. After all, these days gays do now have most of the legal rights that we've been campaigning for over the years. But they are still relevant. Homosexuality is still illegal in 69 countries. Homophobic hate crime still happens. There is the issue of the non-crime hate incident, which dilutes the issues of real crime, but hate crimes do still happen. You still to this day get people who think that homosexuals are all paedophiles. Yes, seriously, people do still think that. Then we've got Pride Month, usually June, where companies practice virtue signalling by discriminating against gay employees and trading with countries where homosexuality is illegal, and then flying the rainbow flags to show how diverse and inclusive they are. And then of course you've got transgenders. Now, transgender has absolutely nothing to do with homosexuality, and nor have any of the recently invented so-called genders like non-binary and gender fluid. But for some reason, gays are expected to go along with it as if it's something to do with us. London Pride is campaigning for Gender Recognition Act reforms, which is a transgender issue and not a homosexuality issue. And the transgender issues have been causing quite a lot of division amongst gays lately. There's even been a new flag invented to be more inclusive of transgenders and black people. I'm homosexual, but I'm also disabled, so why aren't there some extra stripes on the flag for me? Why is it the black people, but why not the disabled people, given that quite a lot of disabled people are homosexual? I don't think the gay campaigners even really know what they're campaigning for anymore. When Rotherham Pride started back in 2013, it was never Rotherham Gay Pride or Rotherham Trans Pride or even Rotherham LGBT Pride. It was just Pride. There's no indication as to what it was actually about. The next year it was being promoted just as a free festival, again with no indicator as to what it is. A couple of years ago Sheffield Pride was controversial for trying to ban signs and banners, which it arbitrarily deemed offensive, thus effectively banning free speech and silencing anyone who disagrees with their official narrative. I don't know what it's like now, but some years ago Manchester Pride came under a lot of criticism for being a money-grabbing exercise. They were charging through the nose for people to enter the event and giving very little money back to the community, whilst excluding those who were on low incomes. An NHS study released the other day found that gays and lesbians smoke tobacco and drink alcohol at a much higher rate than heterosexuals, and yet for some reason Pride events always have the stereotypical drag queens up on stage encouraging people to get drunk. Now when I was planning this little speech, I was trying to think of things to say, and once I got writing the script, it was very concerning because once I got writing, I couldn't stop. I could think of that many examples of things which are wrong with this whole thing that I could not stop writing. Anyway, I think Gay Pride still has a lot of relevance, but I think most events are really nothing more than a sham these days.